First off, I want to thank Mayor Paula Devine, my colleague, for her service to our city. It is no secret that we have all lived through unprecedented times these last 2 years. First, with Mayor Vrej Arajanian taking the helm, followed by Mayor Devine, we have witnessed their leadership through tremendous hardship and challenges as they led us through this pandemic. Mayor Devine taking on these challenges is difficult enough, but as has been mentioned, you did it while facing your own personal loss, and I just want to say thank you for your service above and beyond what any of us could have expected. Thank you. Thank you to Senator Portantino for joining us, and my dear friend Judge Zaven Sinanyan, who's joining us this evening. I believe former Mayor Frank Quintero is with us, and if there's any other important officials and former electeds that I'm missing, well, I just want you to know that if you are here in this room or following this meeting, you are very special, you are dear to me, you are friends and fellow Glendalians, and I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for coming. Dear friends and neighbors, staff, and fellow council members, as we approach this evening, I've been overwhelmed with different thoughts and emotions, trying to search for the right words to express what this means for me, but more importantly, where do we go from here after these last 2 very tumultuous years? President Theodore Roosevelt once said that we must show, not merely in great crises, but in everyday affairs of life, the qualities of practical intelligence, of courage, of boldness, and endurance, and above all, the power of devotion to a lofty ideal. The ideal which made great the men who founded the Republic and preserved it. I find myself leaning on these wise words now and look to them to guide us in our daily lives as we work to serve our city and its people. It does feel like we've all been carrying a unique weight around us for the last 2 years. 2 years ago, few people knew what masks were. The term social distancing was not a part of our vocabulary, and nobody knew how long the pandemic would last, let alone take away 2 years from our lives and 6 million people. We're emerging from the long, dark tunnel of the pandemic. Civil protests and wars in far-off places, but which hit too far close to home. Unfortunately, we came out of all of this not quite sure if there isn't more tunnel ahead or what may face us. I understand that the uncertainty now, to many of us, including myself, may be more frightening than the actual virus was. If this pandemic is truly over, if COVID doesn't rear its ugly head again, I want to see the city put back on the path to normalcy. I pledge to you that this city hall will welcome everyone back with enthusiasm and commitment to excellent service, which has always been the hallmark of our city and our wonderful staff. But if we do not take measures, have to take measures, I want you to know that we are not going to take them lightly. My colleagues and I will put every bit of thought into what we must do. We will not seek any measures to make inconvenience or injury on anyone. It will be done only in the interest of looking out for you, your loved ones, and your neighbors, as we always have. We will pray and work that the worst is behind us and work to ensure that tomorrow is better than yesterday. Glendale is known as a jewel city. In nature, the most resilient and brightest jewel is a diamond, formed under extreme conditions and hardened under pressure until a precious and rare stone emerges. As we come out of the last 2 years, know that if you have survived, it is because you endured the most extreme conditions and pressures, emerging as diamonds that will make this city sparkle brighter than ever. And we are counting on each of you to help your city bounce back stronger than ever. 2 years ago, when I took office to serve on our city council, I made a reference to the Breton fisherman's prayer. President Kennedy had a plaque on his desk, and it read, "O God, thy sea is so great, and my boat is so small." It's meant to remind man that in the face of the Almighty, we are but tiny things buffeted by his will, but still seeking to do the best we can nonetheless. O God, thy sea is so great, and my boat is so small. It's a very appropriate thing to think about when faced with becoming the mayor of our great city. But having taken the oath to serve, you start to realize that you're not in the boat alone. You have your fellow elected officials, both here and on our school board and our college boards. You've got city employees and management staff. You've got citizens and business leaders. Everyone has either their hand on the wheel or has very definite ideas as to which way they want this boat to go. Meanwhile, the boat hasn't gotten any bigger, nor the ocean any smaller. It's no easy task, but know that we do what we do to make your lives and the lives of your neighbors as safe, as prosperous, and as happy as possible. We never forget that. We never forget you. Our job is to make the city the best that it can be, and it's a perpetual job. We never achieve perfection. We just keep moving forward towards that idea that we all must strive towards a more perfect union that shall not perish from this earth. Doing that work is what was expected of me as your council member, and now it's what you expect of me as your mayor. And I am committed to doing this job to the best of my abilities. Having said all that, just because we all want what's best for Glendale doesn't mean we will all agree on how to get there. You can tune in on any council meeting or any municipal meeting up and down Channel 6, and you'll find disagreement, sometimes vehement disagreement. We disagree about how to handle the Grayson Power Plant issue or what to do about the unhoused. Sometimes renters argue with the council, and 10 seconds later, landlords are also arguing with the council. And are we giving too much to our police or not enough? Are our teachers and city employees safe? Can we do more? Are you sure you've thought of everything? For a lot of you, this back and forth, this Sturm und Drang, that noise is everything you hate about politics, everything you don't like about how government works. It's why some of you may not vote. It's why many don't bother to watch council meetings or design review board or sustainability commission meetings. You ask, why can't this be simple? Why can't government just fix things and get it over with? I hear that a lot. But that back and forth, that clash, that chaos I've just described, that, my friends, is democracy. That noise is the very thing that makes this whole thing work, not just here, but around our whole country. As much as you may hate it, the argument is what sits at the heart of our system. This is how we make things better. We talk about it. We debate it. Your point, my point, back, forth, up, down, left, right, sometimes sideways. It takes a long time, longer than any of us like, and it can be very annoying. But in that, you get a voice, and that voice matters very, very much. Now, some of you will argue we should keep all this seemingly unnecessary headache at arm's length until someone better, someone smarter figures out a way to, well, just make things better, make things better. Here's where I have some bad news for us. No one else is coming. It's not that we've been abandoned, but we are it. If we want a better government, if we want a better Glendale, we have to make it, all of us. We can't run away from that argument. We must run towards it. We must participate in it. That voice you have, if you want to better things, you have to use it. As your mayor, I will have definite opinions on the issues of the day. I will vote in a way my conscience and my constituents dictate. And I will not win every fight, nor do I have some secret that will make everyone get along and come to a magical agreement. No elected official does. All I can bring to this job is a willingness to try, a willingness to fight on and push forward. In this job, a person needs an open ear and an even more open heart. I promise to come to this dais every week with both. I only ask that you do the same. I will outline my plans for the next year in the coming weeks, and as we move through the coming budget hearings, along with listening to my colleagues and our citizens. I will also continue to listen to the public by holding regular office hours, as I do every Friday in Montrose, and hope to expand them to other parts of the city soon. I will also ask for staff to bring back our City Council in Your Neighborhood program to ensure that we are hearing from every part of our city on your terms in your neighborhoods about your issues. As our city emerges from the pandemic, we will focus on recovery and growth, and supporting our local businesses and ensuring that the processes of doing business in our city are smooth, simple, and efficient. starting with our planning and permitting process and percolating through every department and division. Many steps are currently being taken, from hiring new staff to working on digitizing paper processes. We will ensure that we do all that we can to make this happen as soon as possible. And I want to assure our public that we have some of the best people working for this organization. Our staff has worked tirelessly through staffing cutbacks, budget reductions, and a pandemic. To our staff, I want to just briefly say thank you. Thank you. You make all of us look good. We will ask a lot of you, I know, but in case we don't say it enough, and I'm often reminded that I don't, thank you. Thank you, Rubik, and to every single person on your team. Let's give them a big round of applause. They deserve it. I pledge to continue our city's pursuit of sustainable and conservation-focused policies. We have already done so much in the last 2 years, from placing restrictions on Mylar balloons and single-use plastics to rethinking our energy priorities and how we meet our growing needs. We will continue along this path. You have my word. I will continue to be, as I have always been, a strong advocate of our libraries and our arts and culture in our city. During the last 2 years, we have had to face a lot of hard truths as Americans about racism, about discrimination, about gender inequality, and we continue to work through these issues, but by learning, we will make progress. That's why the libraries and our arts and cultures will be at the forefront, will be the tip of the spear in this fight. Sometimes we have a setback, but our goal is to always be moving forward, including acknowledging and admitting when we have been wrong. America is at its best when we celebrate our uniqueness and the people of all races and ethnicities who have contributed to this country's success. I will continue to be an advocate for all underrepresented voices, to have a voice and an opportunity to serve on our city boards, commissions, committees, and wherever we need to have our residents' voices heard. Additionally, I will ask staff to organize Glendale's first book fair with music, artists, and authors, and ask my colleagues to support this initiative. We are a city that loves our libraries, and we have amazing writers, musicians, artists, and authors that call Glendale home. This event will highlight their work and bring our community closer together. Thank you, Stephen Meek, for suggesting this, and stay tuned. I promise to keep pursuing government reform, promoting transparency and accountability. Our system of governance is sacred and precious. It breaks down when people lose trust in us and our laws. As such, our laws must be simple to understand. They should make sense, and they should serve a purpose. Where that is not the case, we must do our part to reform them to promote the public good. In that regard, I will also ask staff to begin a process of a charter review committee, just as other cities have, to review and update parts of our charter to be in line with where we are today, but more importantly, where we want to be as a city in the future. I will also ask staff to initiate a Civic Academy, an 8-week program designed for individuals who want to be more engaged in civic life, to learn about each department, how the city functions, and the intricacies of our budget and finance processes. We have a Citizens Police Academy, and the Chamber has its own leadership program, but we do not have a program that serves as a training ground for our boards and commissions, and ultimately our future council members. Most importantly, I promise that I will pursue every avenue of cooperation and collaboration with our school district and the community college to improve our city. These institutions are to be treasured and supported. We are not rivals, but rather charged with the same task of growing this community and ensuring that its most precious resource, our children, are looked after, provided for, and given every opportunity to succeed. In pursuit of this goal, I have had a dream to double the amount of open and usable park space in our densest parts of our city. This is a very personal issue to me. When I was a child growing up not more than 2 blocks here from City Hall on Cedar Street, my friends and I would walk over to Ardy White Elementary School, the same school I would attend Monday through Friday. We'd go there on the weekends and either jump over the fence or crawl under the fence to play in the schoolyard. The gates were locked and we were partaking in criminal behavior by trespassing. Imagine that. For a moment, just imagine that. Kids risking criminal behavior because we wanted somewhere to play. We couldn't play in the courtyard of the apartment that we were living in at the time. The neighbors would complain. We couldn't play in front of the apartment. We would go to the only place that made sense to us, which was our school, which was locked. Well, I've been in these chambers for over a decade and a half. Although prior councils have tried to add more micro parks, we have also added more apartments, more buildings, and so it becomes something that keeps chasing itself with no end in sight. Yet the land is available right before our eyes. The model of shared use is also out there, as in other cities in LA County, including our neighboring cities. We must and should open our schoolyards for neighborhood access, and I will not rest until we do. Our children's physical and mental health, especially coming out of this pandemic, is at stake, and we should not delay these efforts. I will ask staff and my colleagues to help me push forward an effort to work with our schools to make this happen. There is more that I want to do, but I also know that doing just this, along with carrying out all the other responsibilities and many important issues on the horizon, will take up a lot of time. So I will stop here before staff gets too upset with me for adding far too much already to their full plate. And speaking of, I look for a better way to manage all of the requests that myself and my council colleagues keep adding to your list so we feel heard, but we aren't inundating our staff so much to a level that we end up with municipal paralysis or even low morale. I'll close now by thanking a few people, and I'll start by thanking my dear friends whom I've counted on for counsel and sometimes an ear to vent to. Former Parks Commissioner Daveen Babayan and current Arts and Culture Commissioner Savannah Zadorian, and I'm singling them out because they were the backbone and the brains of my campaign going back to 2016. Most importantly, I want to thank my wife, Courtney, my son, Armin. The reason I get up every morning and put my heart into, my heart and everything into this work. I asked my son the other day what I should focus on our work when I assumed my role as mayor, and he said, Dad, oh my gosh, he's getting embarrassed. He said, Dad, Glendale needs a Jurassic Park, is what he said. He was quick to clarify that mostly herbivores and only some omnivores would be allowed in this park. Onik Bulanikin, I have the plans drafted here by my son for this Jurassic Park. We may have to value design this one, which is municipal speak for doing some serious cutbacks for financial reasons. I want to thank my parents and my family. My close friends know how fiercely my family supports me, always has, and sometimes believes in me more than I believe in myself. I don't speak about them often and try to shelter them from the rough and tumble political world, but they have made me who I am. I'm the middle child of 3 brothers who are my closest friends, and they both married amazing women, all of whom I admire and learn from every day. I'm the son of 2 amazing people, my mother, a retired school teacher, and my father, an environmental scientist who came to this country seeking the American dream and deciding that Glendale was going to be the place where they make that dream come true. Myrik, Hyrik, you've taught me the most important thing in the world, the importance of service, sacrifice, unconditional love, and to always be proud of my culture and my heritage. Thank you.